What's up, everybody? Let's take a look at the chart. See what we're looking at. So, looking at the weekly, we're starting to get down to this trend line. We had a bounce right here off of this 20 EMA here. The biggest thing is to watch out for is the 200 SMA. The SMA is down here on the weekly. This is where I think if we were to have a correction, we can go all the way down and test the 200 moving SMA. Okay, now let's go take a look at the daily. As you can see, the daily and this trend line from the weekly is about to touch at the same place if the market decides to come back down here. So you can see right here is where the SMA is. Right here is where that weekly trend line is. So this is the golden line right here, grandpa line, grandpa trend, the most important trend line, because if this trend line breaks, that's the next signal for continuation to the downside, right? And if you look at this carefully, imagine that, right? If we come back down here, if we to come down here, retest this, come back here, we're going to be breaking here and breaking this to the downside. So we can have some confluence, right? Some momentum coming in because you have your sellers coming from this break of support, break of trend line. And then if we get this break right here, even more momentum to the downside, right? So if we break this area, I do think our first level of test would be at 18,900 right here. Obviously, it's not going to be a straight shot down. It could be a straight shot down, don't get me wrong. But if you look at this over here, this is more something you'll see, right? Probably see something similar to this on the way down. So if you want to see the actual movement, you'll probably see something similar to this, and then down, right? So as you can see, and how you can figure out where these little bounces come from is you look at the little supports over here, right? All those supports right there, they'll tell you exactly where possible bounces are, right? And those bounces are just small bounces, okay? It's nothing serious. That's one scenario that can play out. Oops. The other scenarios are we could range up here, right? What if we bounce up here and then we go back up, right? That is a possibility as well. Because if this holds true, we bounce up with this support one more time, and then we bounce up this trend line, that can cause a mean reversion back to the upside, right? Because that means that buyers are stepping in strong at this 800 level, right? This level is a big level right now. On the top side, you have a level at 550. You can draw it right there, like 500. You can say 500, but you know there's a little range here. If you go to the shorter time frame, where we keep bouncing off of 550, right? So 550 is a big level, and you can even see the 20 EMA is perfectly at 550. So you have a range here at this little area right here that is going to play a key role. So we can possibly go back up here, retest here, come down here, go back up here, and do this too, right? These are possibilities. You just want to make sure you're ready for the important spots, like when we touch this, when we touch this, when we touch this, when we touch this, and then when we come back down here and right here. These are the pivot points that you have to be looking out for. Okay, so pay attention to when we get to these areas, because that's what's going to tell you what's going to happen in the market next. Not this little movement in between here, not this little movement, not this little movement. All these pivot points at these major supply and demand zones is what's going to tell you what's going to happen next. That's the areas you want to pay attention to. And those are the important areas that you want to pay attention to, too. Okay? So, having these supply and demand zones, these, areas of where volume can come in, that's how we want to trade so that we can find the general direction. And when we find the general direction, we trade with the general direction because it's a lot easier to trade when you know the direction. It's harder to trade when you don't know the direction, right? Okay, so that's a possibility. Our other possibility is that we do go up here, come back here, retest, and then we break out to the upside, right? That's our other possibility. We can definitely go back bullish if we get momentum, and this has to do with earnings. I would say earnings and how the Fed talks, our inflation data. If the market wants to continue up, the market will continue up. But from what I've seen, remember we've gotten a lot of good data from this past month in January, but we are still in this little range and even had a little dump right here off of DeepSeek news. So we have some bearish momentum building up right now. And if we have bearish momentum, we have to look at the current trend to the downside, right? So we have a nice little trend here to the downside, which tells us, okay, if we want to break the upside, what needs to be done, right? Now, I don't think we're going to do this because we have a nice bearish candle here. I do think we can get a little pullback here and then probably go back down, right? But from the looks of it, we should be seeing a movement to the downside here, and then we go back up. And we want to see if we can break this. If we can't, we come back down, maybe do a little Dorito pattern and then drop, or we break out here, right? So it's a possibility if this breaks out right here, because this is a really big pivot point, right? We're right in that area at 550, and we're about to be breaking this downwards trend, right? So that tells you this can be when momentum comes in if bulls want to step up. Now, if bulls don't want to step up, then you're going to see that rejection from this area, and that would tell you we have a lot of bearish momentum. And if we get some move down, don't be surprised, right? So this is what we're looking at right now. We are going to pay attention to this top channel line, this bottom channel line. This bottom trend line, excuse me. So we have a little Dorito pattern, right? And so you have your range and your Dorito pattern, which is the supply and demand zone right here, and the supply and demand zone right here. So you got two spots where you can see a break of support or a break of resistance, or a break of a trend and a break of a channel can cause momentum to go either direction, right? Like I said, we break this, most likely we're going to go all-time highs and we're going to make some new highs. If we break this, we're going to a correction mode. Easy as that. We don't try to guess. This is a contrarian, is that if we break down here, we go down. On the other side, bullish momentum needs to break up here. So that's what we're looking for. And again, remember, this is a strong rejection zone off the 200 moving average and that trend line, right? So don't be surprised if we see another bounce at 750 before we go back down, because we're probably going to see a nice little bounce, because remember, things take time. It's not going to happen right away. We can even see something similar to this over here where we break straight down and we came right back up. Okay, so you want to be careful when you're calling a breakout. Look at these false breakouts, right? We see false breakouts over here. False breakout. So the question is, are we going to see another false breakout, or are we going to see a follow through to the downside, right? And if we see that follow through, you best believe we're going to see it go down to this level right here. Sorry, this level right here, right? At 17,900. Hopefully that makes sense. Now we go to all-time highs. Sky's the limit. I don't know how much further we can go, but I do think that we will go and follow this top channel line right there. Okay, so you're looking at 23.6, 23, I would say 23 and beyond, right? Because there's no other data. When there's no other data, you don't try to short the breakout to the top side unless you see a mean reversion, unless you see some divergence, then sure. But for now, I like what I'm seeing. I trust this downwards play right now. On Monday, I'm looking at the downwards, and now we can kind of go to the shorter time frame, right? As you can see, we're sitting in this little area, right? Now you can move it to that 560 area that we've been looking at. See, we touched here, touched here, touched here, touch here, touch here, touch here, touch here. A lot of touches in this little 500 area. A lot of bounces. See, we bounced here, we bounced here. A lot of movements here. This would be, I think, the middle of the range from this top channel line and this bottom. Okay, but again, what we're looking at on the shorter time frame, we got a nice little triangle in here, right? If we break this to the downside, you want to see a test back down to this level down here, and then you can see your little possible bounces here, right? So we can go like this, bounce, this, bounce, this, bounce, this, bounce, and then all the way down. So you're probably like, oh, okay, where are you seeing these bounces? Well, there's one support right there, one support right there, another level right there, and another level right there. Look, that's where the bounces are gonna occur. Now, I don't know how strong the bounce is gonna be, but I do know that it's gonna bounce momentarily and it's gonna fall through, right? Or if you get a gap down, then you can literally get a straight shot down too, right? Because that happens. Sometimes you get some movement that gaps you down, kind of like right here, straight shot down, right? We didn't we played through the support, played through this, we just ran straight through. That's a possibility too, especially in the bear case scenario. If we have a very strong momentum, we are going to push through, and most likely we push through, we will break these lows, because these lows with strong momentum can break it. Okay, this is what we're looking at on the shorter time frame. We want to see a break here. If we see a nice bounce, we want to see it retest up here. So you can say, okay, there's a little fair value gap right here. We can test this 900 area one more time before coming back down. But we also have that gap fill right here at 860. So here's your little range that you're looking at. If we start seeing a reversion here, then we want to take the reversion to the downside, right? But here is a crucial point right now that I'm looking at on Monday. Do we follow through here, or do we go back up? Because if we see a nice bounce here, I want to play the up bounce. If we see a strong push through to the downside, then I'm going to play the down. And you want to keep your eye out, because at open, it will tell you a lot of data. Sunday's going to be a big day. Once Sunday hits, we understand there's more information that's going to happen, and Monday is going to be a really big day for New York session. Okay, so you don't want to miss out on the action on Sunday. I do think we're going to get some pretty good movement on Sunday because of what happened last week. So we're gonna have a lot of confusion, a lot of volatility, which is gonna give us good PA to trade off of. Um, Hopefully you guys enjoy what I saw. Um, use this information to the best you can. And good luck trading, guys.